Hello, everybody. How are you? How are you? How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry, I had to I'm having to reset a couple things on my audio system or my cameras. Just because every once in a while it decides that it's not going to work the way it's supposed to. This was one of those moments, and isn't that special that it decided to do that right now? So thank you for your patience for a moment. Okay. One more setting I have to do. And then we should be good to go. All right, we should be good to go. Okay, we should be good. Sorry about that. Did not know that the gremlins had been into my computer. Hello, Terry. Hi, Cindy. Hello, Barbara. Good to see you in chat tonight. All of you. Sunny, Indiana. Hi, Linda. Haven't seen you for a while. Linda and Tim. Hope Tim is continues to make good progress. Let's see. Rhonda, hello. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Connie. Hello, Starla. Hey, I'm glad you're here, even if you just have to just pop in, pop out. I appreciate you being here. Technology is wonderful until it isn't. And you know, the thing about technology is when it isn't, it is only, you know, it's kind of like a sewing machine. It only doesn't work when you need it, right? Am I right? Computers only don't work when you need them. So, today's one of those days, you guys, that it seems like I say this to you a lot. I really don't intend to say it a lot, but I think I say it a lot. Today's one of those funky days. It's called Real Life, and today is my 51st wedding anniversary. It is a bittersweet day, you know? It's one of those. It just is what it is. It's bittersweet. And so I appreciate you just allowing me to do whatever I need to do with you tonight. I appreciate you guys being here and hanging out with me, and we will make some postcards. So that's what we're going to do, make some postcards. And I'm just looking through my part of my stash of cardstock, colorful cardstock. And I'm just pulling out some colors that might kind of go with this. I only need 8, so it's not like I need to spend a lot of time doing this. Anyway, yeah, so it's kind of a funky day, you guys. Kind of a funky day. I don't want it to be a funky day. It just kind of is, that's all. It is bittersweet. I celebrated 47 years with Clausman that were really good. Year 48, on our 47th wedding anniversary, he definitely knew it was our anniversary. When we got to the 48th, he didn't have a clue that it was our anniversary. See, that's 8. I'm just trying to make sure I got enough room here. Yeah. It is what it is, you know? It just is what it is. So 48th wedding anniversary, he didn't have a clue. 49th, he was gone. So the good news is I have made it through 2 years on my own. Don't you just love it when the ruler just moves just a little bit? Anyway, what I'm doing is I'm cutting some mats. Well, that moved a little bit more than just a little bit. Okay, well, we will just toss that to the side and try again. That's paper, so we don't want to use that. Make sure that I'm okay. Anyway, so I apologize if I seem to be in a funk. I don't mean to be, but it's possible. It's possible. So what we're doing, first of all, is I'm just cutting some colorful cardstock mats, and we're going to see if we can get the ruler to cooperate this time. So I'm going to stand up to cut, and if my head gets in the way, I do apologize. I did a big mixed media. We're just going to do 2 of the color. Okay, that's 4. Okay, so we're going to do 4 by 6 out of these. I should have done this ahead of time, but you know what? I did not. All right, we don't need that one. Anyway, so it is a good day. It has been a nice day. I got my car serviced. It didn't cost me any extra money. That's good. What else? I had lunch with the Studley Duck today, our brunch, which was really nice. We ate at First Watch Cafe. And I had the chicken quinoa bowl, which I really like quinoa. If you don't like quinoa, you would not like it. I thought it was exceptionally good. Cannot cut straight tonight. Some days it just doesn't. The ruler and the rotary. It's probably one of the reasons is my mat has got a warp spot in it. I'll cut this one. Anyway, make yourselves at home. I hope that you're having a good day. I am pretty much over the croup finally. I know that I irritated the crap out of some of you with my sniffling and sneezing. I was given that note by a commenter, and I'm real sorry about that, but it's either deal with it or not stream. And I think that I probably should not have streamed a couple of weeks there when I was sniffling and carrying on, but you know, I did. I chose to stream, and the way I look at it is that people always have the option of clicking off, right? And so I think I'm over it pretty much. I'm not coughing much at all anymore, so that I'm extremely thankful for. And okay, let's cut this one up. And I only need I need 4 more, so if you'll just indulge me just a little bit longer. And I'm not watching chat right now. I will get there in just a second. If I watch chat, I could cause myself bodily harm. When you're cutting with a rotary cutter, and my blade is not real sharp, so to begin with, that's not the best thing to do. The best thing to do is make sure your blade's good and sharp. You run the risk of cutting yourself more if your blade, whether it's a knife blade, a rotary cutter, scissors, whatever, gouges, chisels, you run a greater risk of cutting yourself if your blade is not sharp. So first thing you would like to be sure that you do is have a sharp blade. The second thing is, if you're using a rotary cutter, if you will kind of lean your cutter into the ruler, that will help, because it wants to wander. Typically, it wants to wander away from the ruler. So if you push in toward the ruler, you have a greater chance. Speaking of chance, he's in the other room. You have a greater chance of cutting accurately if you will lean toward the ruler. If you let it wander away, that's when you start getting the funky cuts. The other thing I find with working with a rotary cutter is that you want to not cut too fast. I've watched people cut with a rotary cutter, and some people just zoop, zoop, zoop. And I will tell you, that is a real good way to cause yourself bodily harm when you start cutting too fast with the cutter. Because if you are cutting too fast and you wander, you know, if you jump off the ruler, or if you lapse consciousness for a minute, a second, and you jump over the ruler or whatever, that's when you can really hurt yourself. So be careful, okay? Just some hints about working with a rotary cutter. Let's see. Hello, Marilyn. Good to see you. Yep, you never please. Hi, Mina. Nope, you're never going to please everybody. That's for sure. Boy, we have a short crowd tonight. I don't know. Maybe Monday nights are not a good night to stream. I don't know. Maybe it's my attitude. Maybe my attitude sucks. That's possible. Okay. So this is the sheet of paper that I did on Friday. And it is big enough. It is slightly oversized for 4x6 postcards. And so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to cut it from this side. I'm going to cut it from the other side so I don't make myself crazy trying to be too meticulous. So again, I'm going to stand up to do this and give myself a clean edge. Let's see, is that the one I want to work with? I'm going to start with the clean edge from the right side, then I'm going to turn it over. All right, so how are you guys doing today? Hope you've had a good day. It's always a good day when you go to the car dealer or service place and you don't walk out having to give them any money. That's always a good thing. Okay. All right. So this is going to be my backing for my postcard, and so this is measuring 4x6. This piece. That's the postcard size. Okay, 4x6. So I'm going to make this 3 3/4. Okay, we're going to go 3 3/4 for the piece that's going to go on top. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut this big strip, this big piece up into the sizes so that we have it. Oop. And that you do not want to do. You do not want to let the ruler wander. You want to put pressure on the ruler when you're cutting. You have to skinny up this little sliver, which is still got a little bit of a slivery place there, but you know, we'll just make do with it. Okay, so 3 3/4. You want to make sure that you keep pressure on the ruler, even pressure on the ruler, and that's another reason for not going too fast when you're cut. And walk your hand up the ruler. All right, so we now have strips, and I'm going to switch to a smaller ruler because there's no reason to use that one. If you will always give yourself a clean cut, whether it's fabric or paper, give yourself a clean cut first thing. So this is my clean cut edge right here. And then I'm going to cut this at 5 3/4. Then we'll see if the size is going to be right. Also, when you put your blade down, close the blade, okay? Close your blade when you lay it down. All right, let's see how this is going to measure. So that's what I'm going for right there. So it has a little bit of color around the edge, not a lot, but just a little bit. So that looks like that's going to work. Oh, my math skills continue. All right. 5 3/4. And it looks like I should have measured these going the opposite direction, but you know, it is what it is. If I didn't what size did I end up with this one? About 5. That's all right. Okay. This one has still got a sliver here that needs to be cleaned up. So let's clean this up. And if you cut on the side that is not the painty side, that's best. The paint side, because acrylic paint is plastic, what it will do is want to stick to your ruler. Okay, yeah, so I didn't cut these exactly the way that I originally laid them out. So, you know, we're just going to make do with and then we'll see what we have left over and see what we can do with the leftovers. I hope you guys are having a good day. You guys make, what I'd like to know tonight is, do you make postcards or cards, note cards? And if you do you send them out to people, or do you send them through the mail as they are, or do you put them in envelopes, or what do you do? So actually what I'm going to get out of this batch is I'm going to get 6 regular postcards, because I didn't cut them the right direction to begin with when I started cutting out. One of the things that you guys probably don't know about me is that I am math challenged. Math challenged. Math, although I did well in school, especially algebra. I loved algebra. Didn't like plain geometry at all. Still did okay in it. But math, my math skills are not strong. And so I usually do things. I think I might have a touch of dyslexia. And so, sorry if my head was in the way. I will usually do things upside down and backwards. Even though I think it through and I think that I've got it figured out. Yeah, I almost always do it upside down and backwards first. Okay. That's probably true, Rhonda, people being outside. Clear medical tape prevents sliding. That's a good idea. You put it on the back of your cutting rulers. Huh, good idea. I'll have to look into that. 3M clear medical tape. I'm not sure I've ever had any of that. Terry makes cards and ATCs. Don't you love ATCs? I love them because I can put them in my journals. I do. Okay, so let's see. I have mats. I have some choices of mats. And we'll just make these 6 that I have, and then these I'll do these into either smaller postcards, or I will do them into ATCs. It's hard to say. Okay, well, look at these mat choices. So I have a couple of reds, a purple and a blue. And I don't spend a lot of time stressing over what I'm gonna use. Sorry, my throat's a little froggy tonight. I just kind of pick one and go for it. And this is Canson mixed media paper that I'm using. That I did the mixed media work on to make the master to make the initial sheet of paper. Okay, that's good. We'll call that good and move on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ink around the edges, and I'm going to use just my standard cobalt blue because I like it. It's grippy silicone with a texture that grips and doesn't slide. Interesting. Connie has issues with 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade math. Yeah. I don't know what math I have trouble with. I think all of it. I don't know. Okay, let's give these a quick ink job because they just look better, I think, if they have. It gets rid of that white paper core around the edge, and it doesn't take long to do it, so I just think it looks better. I did iron this piece of paper. I know some people think, iron paper? Are you kidding me? Yep, I iron paper. I usually, if I'm going to use any kind of steam situation, I will use like the one of those real fine mist sprayers or the Tim Holtz spray bottle, just something that doesn't put out, you know, big drops of water. I know the Tim Holtz sprayer, you can use it to do big drops, but okay, so there's the difference. Here's one that's inked and one that isn't. So I like this better. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, I spray it on the back of the paper. So not on this side where all the color stuff is. And I really love the way this piece of paper turned out, honestly. I like how using the tissue paper and the deli paper that I had made marks on. I really love how that glued down on the mixed media surface, because you have more control over what it does. So this is marks on tissue paper or deli wrap, and this is tissue paper, and this is tissue paper. So all of those went down on top of brayered. I used the brayer to put color down, and I particularly like how that worked. There's also some tracing paper that I had done some mark making on, and an example of that is this piece right here. You can see the wrinkles in it. So that's tracing paper, and the thinner tracing paper, not the premium stuff. So it does not glue down smoothly, but it did glue down entirely. It just doesn't go smooth. So if you want some texture, that's a good one to get texture with. The tissue paper and the deli paper went down absolutely smoothly. So and it pretty much just disappeared into the background. So I particularly like that. Well, hello, Miss Muppet. Well, how's this girl? Huh? How is this girl? Did you want to come say hello to everybody? Did you? Did you? Hi. Come here. Hey, come up here. Hello. How's this girl? Did you want to say hi to the peoples? Want to say hi to your fans? Yes. You're a pretty good girl, aren't you? She's getting so lumpy and bumpy. She's just got lumps and bumps here and there. Yeah, she really does. She's got a big one under her eyelid, but so far it's not pressing on her eyeball. And she seems to be pretty happy still. She doesn't hear anything anymore. She's losing traction in her rear end. She's just an old girl, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyway, that is a rare Muppet sighting. She used to come up here all the time and like to be part of everything, but she doesn't do that much anymore. She is a sweetie. Yep. She's a Muppet like a puppet. She was named when we got her. Obviously, little kids who like to watch the Muppets on TV named her. She would like for me to give her some dinner. That's what she will pace. No, she still can tell time. She knows that it is dinner time. And so she will pace until the stream is over and she gets to have food. Because that's what she does. She still eats, drinks. She knows when it's time to have dinner. She knows when it's 10 o'clock at night. She starts worrying about 10 o'clock at night at 9:30 because that's when she gets a bone. And she starts worrying about whether she's going to get her bone. Now, I can tell you the dog has gotten a bone every night that she's lived with me, and she's lived with me since she was 8 months old, and she is now almost 16. And she's gotten a bone every single night, without exception. But she worries about it every night. Yes, she does. She worries about it every single night. Because you know what? This might be the night that I forget. So she will, she stands up, and she peeks around the edge of the couch like, it's almost time. It's almost time. Remember, it's almost time. She'll peek around the edge of the couch, and then she'll go back and lay down. And then in 5 or 10 minutes, she'll get up and she'll come back and she'll just stand and look at me like, don't forget. I don't want you to forget because it's almost time. It's almost time. Don't forget. Sometimes I've been known to give it to her early, which is probably the reason that 9:30 has come into the picture. It used to be 11 p.m. Because what I would do is we would give her a bone to get her to go in her crate. Because when she first came here, she stayed in a crate at night, and she did that for a couple of years. And so she gradually, oh so slowly, she backed it up a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more until it became 10 o'clock. And I decided I was going to try real hard not to let her back me up anymore. Otherwise, I'd be giving her dinner and a bone at the same time. That would not be good. Okay, so I have inked the postcards. What screws her up, though, is when the time changes. She really gets messed up during time changes. Okay, so these are all together here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use a little, hopefully, I don't know where my other glue stick is. We'll see if we can make this one work. I don't know that I have another one on I have some in the other room, but that's where the cat is, so. I'm just going to put some glue in the middle of these and stick them down. Like so. And I'm going to get a weight. Okay, so this is just to get them to kind of adhere to each other a little bit, and I'm only putting the glue in the middle. May have to go see if I can wrestle up another glue stick here. Usually have several on the table. I'm going to use the sewing machine here in a minute to sew around the edges. I definitely don't see one on my table. I think postcards are one of the nice things you can do. They're quick. You can do a quick little message, but you definitely let people know that you're thinking of them. It's a good way to say a quick hello or happy birthday or just thinking of you. It's a way to share your creativity with other people. This is where we're going to find out whether I cut semi-straight, straight-ish. I do like having an assortment of postcards and note cards on hand. It's nice. And you know, having it just like this is good enough to send as a postcard. You can always, I generally add a word, or you can add a focal image of some kind. I don't always do that because sometimes I just let the color and the pattern speak for itself. And I like that. Hello, Brenda. Exactly. They should stop this. I thought they were going to stop the stupid time changes already, and then I was so excited that they were not going to do that anymore, and then I don't know what happened. But in case you don't know this about me, I don't watch the news. I know, shocker. I don't watch the news. I don't like to get upset, and I find myself getting upset when I watch the news. So I don't watch the news because one thing I've found out is that always and forever people will tell me if some horrible thing has happened that I need to be aware of. I have yet never to be informed about something awful that had gone on in the world. And most of the time I didn't see it on TV or hear it on the radio. And I don't take the paper. That used to drive those of you that have been here for a while. Remember Warren, the old guy that I worked for, that I typed his columns for, his newspaper columns? And that used to make him crazy that I did not sit in front of the television. I didn't read the paper. He found that deplorable, that anyone who didn't do that was totally uneducated. I went, oh well, too bad, so sad. Question in chat. I just use about a silk to wool setting, so it's on the low to medium end of things, and I iron it on the back, on the paper, the side that doesn't have mixed media stuff on it. If you have a bunch of stuff on the back, you need to cover it, cover it with something. Cover it with a piece of parchment paper or a press cloth or something if you want to protect the bottom of your iron. But as we all know, I have wiped out the bottom of my iron. So if I ever do any real ironing again, I'm going to have to invest in a new iron. That was my own fault, but that's the way it goes. Anyway, I thought I would show you this little journal that I did. I did for the VIP group on Saturday. So any of you who are VIP members or who are watching this, I thought I would show you this little journal. It's made out of a legal size file folder, 2 legal size file folders. It is 2 signatures. It just makes a nice little journal that can slip into your purse or wherever you want to put it. It is patterned after something I saw Mary Beth Shaw do, who is the owner of Stencil Girl Products. She uses this style journal. She uses 1 signature, and somebody else came up with the idea of making this style journal. 1 signature is this. Let me see. Let me make sure I have. Okay, this is this part right here. Okay, this part. She uses this much every month for what she calls her wellness journal. I did 2 of them because I like a journal that's got a little more heft, and so I just thought I would show it to you. Those of you who are VIP members, I wanted you to see what I had done for, because I showed how to make the journal. It's a simple construction, but I thought I would show you what I had done to prepare the surface. And so what I did is I used acrylic paint, and I chose 3 colors of tube acrylics. So for example, this one, and this one. Okay, so those 3 colors, and I just scraped them on the surface. Okay, and then when I went to the next section, and you can do this in any journal, it's a great way to prepare surfaces if you want to get it all done at once and you're kind of stumped as to how to do it. Then you take those 3 colors of paint, you drop one out, and you add a different one into the mix. So for example, these 3. And that's the next section. Okay, and the same process goes. Then drop one out, add one more. Drop one out, add one more. So you end up with continuity as you go through the pages, but you're not having to rethink it and redesign everything. Your thinking is cut down by quite a bit doing it that way. So just drop one out, add one more. And it doesn't really matter what you add or how you go about doing it. It's always going to work. Okay? So there are some fold out flaps at the beginning and end of each signature. Or yeah, the beginning and end of each signature. So there's a fold out. And depending on which style legal size folder you use, whether it's 3rd cut, 5th cut, or whatever, these were 3rd cuts, and how you cut the folder. Basically, the folder is just cut in half across the folder, and then it's just a matter of folding it. The tabs and the flaps will show up at different places, and you'll get, this is the binding, or the scored part, the center of the folder. That's what that is. So you get some interesting lines. This is where some of the paint seeped through. I like that kind of stuff. You just have to make sure as you're going through and applying paint, make sure that you keep opening the pages and pressing them open so that they don't stick themselves together, because of the acrylic paint being that plastic base, for lack of a better term, the binder, or the substance that the pigment is in, is a plastic sort of thing. It will glue these pages together. So once that happens, then I just had to go back and make sure that that was dry so it didn't stick the pages together. So that's exactly what has been done all the way through. Drop out one color, add one color. And they look like they're totally different as you go through, but they're not. Every single page, from one page to the next, there are 2 colors in common. In this one, somehow when I dried these 2 pages, I got them stuck together. And so I was trying to gently peel them apart and finally just ripped them apart, which ripped off paint here and here. And so I just scraped a different color. So this is the only one that has a 4th color added. And that was just to simply cover up the part that ripped off the opposite page, because somehow I didn't get them pulled apart before they stuck. And then this is the last one, which still has to be, I got this far and I was tired of doing it. I did it all in one sitting, and then I just put it up like this on my desk, opened the flaps up so that things would not stick, and then just, you know, made sure that everything had airspace in it, and then let it just stand and dry. The file folder is really, these are heavy. I don't think they're anything special, it's just the way that they are, but they really make a nice surface for creating. Yeah, it really does work nicely to do that with 3. I've done that before with other journals, and it always works, you know, it always works. It doesn't really matter what 3 colors you use, especially if you're kind of drawing a little bit in between colors. It works. This is the same thing done with not the legal size folders, but the regular file folders, and these are the craft colored folders. And this one, depending on how accurately you fold, you will get, either you'll get your pages pretty close to even, and this, you can see some of them are a little bit shorter, but some of that depends on the tab situation. But those are fairly close to even at the edge. That doesn't bother me if there's a little, you know, unevenness out here. This one bothered me a little bit more because I wasn't as accurate, and so some of the tabs, I figured out that you kind of had to work around those tabs and sometimes skinny up the tabs on some of the folders to start with. And so in this case, I just put the longest one at the front for the cover. And then I did a dot painting on the cover. And so that is that. Here is another one where this is the beginning of the dot painting. So this is what it looks like before the dots are added. This is what it looks like after the dots are added, although the metallic colors are different on the two turtles. Doesn't really matter which way you do it. Anyway, I really liked it. These are Posca pins that did the dots. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. And now we'll come back. Hopefully these have glued themselves together. And they should be. I don't care that the edges are not glued together. Don't you like the I know I like the turtle too. It's so simple. Those paintings are based on Aboriginal. They're not based on. That is not accurate. They are inspired by Aboriginal dot paintings. I've watched some videos online of some of the Aboriginal artists doing dot paintings. They are phenomenal to watch. Absolutely phenomenal to watch. First of all, they sit and they appear to be, the people appear to have some age on them. We'll just say that. I really don't know how old they are, but they appear to have some age. And they are sitting cross-legged on the ground, leaning forward, painting. On these, the pieces that I watched them painting on were big, like floor cloth type things. And I'm like, I don't know, if I did that for 10 minutes, I wouldn't be able to get up off the floor and walk. They are way more flexible than I am. I mean, really. And watching them actually paint, the foundational painting, And they always start with, the ones that I watched always start with a black background. That is what I saw. I'm just going by what I've seen online. I am no expert. There are no experts in this building about Aboriginal dot painting. I only love it, admire it, and aspire to be inspired by it. Thank you, Starla and Brenda. But they paint. They have a little dish with paint and a paintbrush, and they paint the designs freehand, and it is phenomenal to watch them paint. They will paint the designs, and what it appears that they do is that they paint the design as an outline. They've done that all their lives, so the positions aren't exhausting to them. It's a good thing, because I am telling you, the flexibility that those folks have is to be admired, let me tell you. And so they use a brush, like a flat brush, I think is what they're using. It does not look like anything fancy. And then they paint the designs freehand, and it is amazing to watch them paint. They are so steady with their hands. It's incredible. And after all of the design is done, then they go back and do the dots with a stick. Usually, it's what I saw. And I thought, where I was being pretty precise with the placement of the dots, the patterning of the dots in here, like I was going around in circles or going in lines and that kind of thing, so I was doing pretty much in a specific, although it may look kind of random, I was actually doing things in pretty much an ordered pattern. Even the background, I went around the shape of the turtle in sections doing the dots. So it has a kind of a random look, but there is order and a method to the way I put the dots down. That is not what I observed these artists doing. It was very interesting to watch. So I don't know if you guys are interested in that, but I would encourage you to look up some of the Aboriginal dot painters. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to get my sewing machine here, and I'm going to use the thread that's in it and hope. I'm going to have to go in the other room where the cat is because I need a different presser foot. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm going to be right back. Okay, I needed a regular presser foot instead of a free motion presser foot, so that's why I had to go in the other room, because the one that's on here is a free motion foot. That's what this is a free motion presser foot, because when you put the foot down, it does not touch the feed dogs. Let's see if you can see that. Well, let's do this. See that? It doesn't touch the feed dogs. So I need to change the foot so that it will it helps if I plug in the machine, doesn't it? Okay, here we go. So now, if I try to slide this under here, it won't go because the feed dogs are up against the foot. I know, I just love the Aboriginal art. I just love it, honestly. Okay, so what we're going to do is I am going to, let's see, let's start here in the corner. That's too far over. That's too far over. We're going to go right there. Okay. Alright, so when I sew on paper, I use the smallest needle I can get away with. So this is probably an 80 that's in the machine. And the reason that I do that, sorry, the camera is blurry. The reason I use the smallest needle I can get away with is it pokes the smallest hole in the paper. I also lengthen the stitch length, so if you do a real short stitch length, you're going to perforate the paper and it's going to tend to fall apart. So a longer stitch length, so I'm using a 3mm length stitch length. You could always use a zigzag if you want. I tend to like to use a straight stitch, and that's what I'm going to do. So let's see how we do here. Okay. Oh, come on, come on. Sometimes if you encounter some of the more plasticky paint areas, it will want to hesitate to move forward, and so you may have to encourage it. I try not to encourage it unless I have to. Come on, come on. And sometimes I have to, if it doesn't come out exactly the way I want it, I will adjust the stitch length, adjust the needle placement. And I try to hit the same holes for several stitches. So I try to hit the same holes down here for several stitches, so I'm overstitching it. I need to refocus this camera again. Let me go this way so you can see. Okay. There we go. So you see how I've restitched in the same holes a few times, or just overlap the stitches a couple, 4 or 5 stitches. Then what I do is I'm sorry, we're gonna have to put up with the blurry camera here tonight on this camera. Sometimes this camera over my shoulder loses its focal point a little bit, and I have to refocus it. But anyway, I'll pull those threads to the back like so. Okay. I'll pull those threads to the back like that, and then I will knot those off, and then I'll put a little tiny dot of tacky glue on each end of that stitch, and then call it good. And that's it. So that then becomes how I put those two pieces together, like that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show. That's what I'm going to be doing tonight. So you have seen everything that I was going to do. So you're welcome to stay here and watch, or go, got it, I'm going to go do something else, and that's okay. And what I'm using is the inner toe, the inner edge. The inside of this toe of the presser foot is running along the top artwork. And that's what I'm watching, as opposed to watching the needle. I'm watching the placement of the presser foot. When I get to the corners, I do slow down, because I do try to make those corners as accurate as possible. The thread I'm stitching with is King Tut variegated machine quilting thread, but it is for machines. It is not a hand quilting thread. Do not use hand quilting thread in the top of your machine without being prepared to have some problems, because it is meant to be stitched. Hand quilting thread is meant to stitch by hand. So when you turn over your work, you should be able to pull the bobbin thread, and that should loosen the top thread here. So it pulls that loop through, and that's how you get the top thread to come down through the bottom easily. And if it gives you any trouble and you can't get it to pull through, you can always use a needle and thread that top thread through with a needle, and you know, actually bring it to the back using a needle. I try not to do that if possible. I try to pull it through, and sometimes if you've stitched over it, like that's what's happened here, I've actually caught it. So that is one of those cases where I'm going to have to use a needle and thread this top thread through a needle and bring it to the back. Oh, the focus issue. That drives me crazy. I'm sure it's driving you crazy too. Anyway, we're going to persist and go on. I'm going to stitch the rest of these. It's not too bad. Okay. It's not great. I'll try to get it refocused before the next time. If I had somebody else here that was with me, I could stop and refocus it while we're broadcasting, but it's a little bit tricky to do when it's just me. It's not great, but it's not absolutely horrible. It's the best angle I have for using the machine, so But every once in a while, the cameras just have to be, you gotta pat them a little bit and promise them that you still love them and that you appreciate all the hard work they do, and kind of like people. They like to know that they're doing a good job. All right. So, I know with all the threads hanging off, they're kind of obnoxious a little bit, but so those are the 3 we've done so far. Okay. Got 3 more to do. And you can do the same thing for bookmarks or ATCs or whatever, note card fronts. I mean, you could turn these into note card fronts easily. They don't have to stay as postcards. You can glue them or tape them with a good double-sided tape to a note card front and add a sentiment or a word or whatever you like, a quote, and turn them into note card fronts. I think it's Aunt Beck's Creations I think she makes a lot of note card fronts and has them ready to just make quick note cards out of. She sends out a lot of cards. Okay, 2 more to go. We're doing pretty well here tonight. I really do like that concept of making the marks on the transparent or translucent papers and having those ready to use for mixed media purposes. I find that has been a really it's a very easy way and effective way for doing mixed media things, to have things like that ready. And when I did these, that was the first time that I had purposely created the papers, ahead of time. Most of the time I just use whatever's left over from jelly plate printing sessions or from paste paper sessions or whatever, and I'll end up with some, kind of interesting papers, but they're just, kind of leftover things. But this concept was making them on purpose. And that was a really good thing to try. But some of these I did not glue on here straight at all. Either that or I didn't cut the mats. I didn't cut something straight. I'm telling you, it's that math challenge thing I deal with. I do think I have a touch of dyslexia. Okay, all done. We made it all the way through those. And the dog is still worrying about her dinner. Every time I move, she stands up. She's like, "Is it time? Is it time? Is it time? Did you remember?" Okay, so in case I did not make it clear enough for you, let's try this again. So on the back, if you'll pull the bobbin thread, it will pull a loop. It will pull up a loop right here. And if you have a pin, it's all that much better. All right, here, we got this. This will work. And it's just something that's pointy. And you can get a hold of that top thread and pull it to the back, just like this. And so I go through and try to pull as many of those through to the back as possible. You'll know if it's not going to work. And the ones that aren't going to pull through, then you just got to bite the bullet, get a needle, thread the top thread through the needle, and poke it through to the back. So once you've got the threads on the back, then I will knot these separately. So I'll knot these two together and these two together, and then just drop a little dab of tacky glue on top of the knot, just a little bit, or glitter glue or whatever you like to use, doesn't matter. And then once that's really dry, then you can cut the threads off right at the knot. Okay? Yep, she likes to fuss and worry. You know, it does give her something to think about. I will say that. It does give her something to think about. And the cat does the same thing, man. He starts worrying about getting his wet food. He greets me first thing in the morning and lets me know that it's time for wet food. Because it's how I get the Miralax into him, is through using the wet food. And then I feed him at about 10 or 11 at night with, so I can put the other dose of Miralax on it. And most of the time he eats it. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he gets on sometimes he's like, "What are you trying to do? Poison me?" Okay, that one's going to have a needle. Sometimes he's like, "Are you poisoning me again? Why would you poison me? I thought you loved me." The same kind of food the next day he'll think is the best thing ever in the whole wide world. But on the days when he thinks that I'm trying to poison him, he's very, very belligerent about it. And he will whine and he will cry and he will, try to get me to give him a different kind of food, which I do think that on those days when he has decided that I'm trying to poison him with his food, I think that no matter what the food is, no matter what the choice is, I think he is going to decide that I'm poisoning him. Okay, that's one I have to use a needle on. And let's try this one. Cats are funny. Siamese cats are their own. Okay, that one's not going to come through, I don't think. No, so I've got 3 of them that I'm going to have to thread one thread through with the needle, and 3 that pulled through just fine. So half of them worked just the way I'd hoped they would, and half of them didn't, but that's okay. And this, with the 2 layers, this is the mixed media paper on top and the cardstock on the back. It's a stiff enough postcard that it's okay for it to go through the mail that way. You want to draw a line down the middle, and and you want to put, my understanding is you were supposed to stamp or write the word postcard on it. I do have a stamp. I don't know if that's true or not, but I stamp it with postcard, put a line down the middle. There's my message, there's my address and the area for the stamp, and you can stick these in the mail. Everything on here has had matte medium put on it or acrylic paint. So even if this gets wet, it's not going to, things aren't going to run, because there's no water-based anything on this. This is, everything on here is acrylic paint. If it got wet, it might warp, but it's not going to fall apart, and the color's not going to run. And, you know, even if it did, oops, oh well, right? Oops, oh well. Anyway, so there you go. So that's 8 postcards, and then I have 3 others of this dimension, which these couple of these need to have the edges cleaned up a little bit. So let's see how this fits on one of these. And see, I don't even find that objectionable, that even though it's got a little bit more of the matte sticking out on the ends, I don't find that objectionable. And so I think I will probably just go ahead and make these into postcards. The other thing you can do is scoot this over like this, turn the postcard this way, and put a quote, one of the Tim Holtz quotes or a word down here, and let it be a vertical postcard. You can always add a focal point of some kind, a magazine image, one of the sprocket prints. The sprocket printer that I've shown you that I have, you can do those into various sizes. You can divide that 2 by 3 inch print. There's a Canon Ivy printer, I think, that is also uses the zinc sticker papers, and you can get 4 little images on those 2 by 3 inch papers and cut them apart. You could use one of those little images as a focal point. So there's all different kinds of things that you can do. If you want to add additional details on, once these are done, if you want to add some more details on here, you can do this with your pens. So for example, let's see if this is going to write for me. These will give you different marks than the Posca pens. Now, these are not necessarily waterproof. So if this got wet going through the mail, it's possible that the ink pens, these are Sakura Jelly Roll pens, they could run or do something funky. But who knows? Maybe that would be even better. The other thing you want to do with your artwork is you do want to sign it someplace. So there, and this is where I usually look at it and go, okay, if the mat is not, pardon me, even, which this one isn't, I'll pick a wider spot. And sign the card there. So you sign your artwork. So you can do that. These jelly roll pins in this particular set are all metallic. They are the Click retractable jelly rolls. And these are all metallic. The white one is not metallic, but the rest of them are metallic. And it is kind of nice that they're clickable. They are a pretty good size point. These are, let's see, does it tell me on here what the point? They're 0.8s. So it's got a pretty good size nib on it. So it makes a little thicker line than some of them. I like to have the different size tips to give the different size lines. I like that, and so I enjoy having the different options for the line width. And this is where you can just sit down and you can just add marks, adding a little bit of metallic here and there. Metallic is always nice because it sparkles things. It just adds a little something something, you know. And you can add on the black lines, you know, add some metallic dots. This is the doodle portion of your card. You do need to make sure that the jelly roll pen gets dry, because you can put marks on here and you can promptly lay your hand down in it and smear it. Ask me how I know. You can never have too many dots on your art, in my opinion. So you just look at what shows up in a given card, or different, you know, whatever you see. And dots are always good. Dots always work. So just add, and it gives you that little extra sparkle. And you know, if this is if the white doesn't suit you, then just make more. Let the white be a part of it, but maybe not the whole thing. So add some, I don't know, there you can see it. So I've just added metallic dots around the outside of that black dot that had the white circle around it. And it just gives you a little extra something something. If you have the glaze pens, which are Sakura, another Sakura product, you can do the same thing with the glaze pens. They will give you a more raised dot effect. They take a little bit longer to dry, so you got to make sure you keep your hands out of them. But they're another way that you can use to embellish and enhance your cards. And just, you know, do you have to do that? Nope. If you like it, go for it. You could always use Posca pens. You could do all kinds of things to do that. Yep. It is nice that they made a clickable pen. Then you don't have to worry about where the caps of the pens go. For sure. Hello, Dana. How are you? It is good to be here with you guys tonight. I am going to take off for tonight. Thank you for hanging out with me and spending a bittersweet day with me. And it is what it is. Thank you. We've walked through lots of things together, and I thank you for being here and for witnessing witnessing the walk. You know, I'm really grateful that I am at this place in my life right here, right now. And that I appreciate having each and every one of you be here with me. You have no idea the degree to which I appreciate each one of you, and I really do. And I hope that I inspire you to do that for other people as well. You know how much you give to me just by showing up and being present. Hopefully by me showing up and being present for you, I can encourage you and give you a couple things to think about, and that you turn around, and if we just keep passing it around to each other, being kind, being loving to each other, doing nice things for each other. When somebody's having a rough time, send them make some postcards. Send them a postcard. Send them a note card. If you don't have time to make it, go buy some. Buy a little package of cards at the grocery store. They're not expensive. And send cards out. It really does it can make not a little bit of difference, but it can make all the difference in somebody's day. I speak from experience. So thank you for hanging out, and it's so good to see you all. You like the Monday hour, Mina? Oh, good. And I am really grateful to get the privilege. To me, it's a privilege to be here. And thank you for your time, and just for being kind to each other and kind to the people around you. So go do something for somebody else today, tonight, tomorrow, whenever you see this. Go do something nice for somebody else, something that they don't expect. That's the best part, when you do something that somebody doesn't expect, you know? All right, I will be back on Friday. I think I have told you guys all this, but my granddaughter is due to go in labor at some point here shortly. Don't know when, of course, because babies have a mind of their own. Can you imagine that? And when that happens, I will probably be gone for a week. So if all of a sudden I don't show up, I will try to post something someplace that lets you know why. But that will be what the deal is. I will be gone to play great grandma to a 2.5-year-old and a brand new baby. So, thanks, Brenda. And so there's nothing like being a part of a new life, ushering a new life into the world. So I will be going. It's a great privilege for me to get to do that, and to be with my granddaughter and spend some time there being Graham. So I will, unless something happens, I will be back here on Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. So until then, as always, remember to get creative today, because you know it's easy. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.